I call this work session meeting of the San Marcos City Council to order. Today is Tuesday, July 7th of 2026. The time is 3:09 p.m. Apologies for the delay. Ms. Trevino, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mr. Baselk, Ms. Garza, Mayor Houston,
Here.
Mr. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Mendoza, Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Thank you. We are a quorum present.
All right, and we, next item on the agenda is citizen comment period, but we don't have anyone signed up, so we will go straight on to presentations. Ms. Trevino.
Receive a presentation regarding the city's community brand.
Ms. Reyes.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Today's presentation is the result of a community branding initiative that began with direction from Council during your visioning discussions in 2024 and continued through 2025 visioning workshop. During those conversations, Council identified an opportunity to better define how San Marcos presents ourselves to residents, visitors, businesses, and those considering investing in our community. One question we've heard throughout this process is how this project has been funded. This initiative is funded entirely through hotel occupancy tax, or HOT revenues. By state law, those funds are restricted to tourism-related promotion and marketing activities and cannot be used for core city services such as public safety, streets, utilities, or other general fund operations. No resident property tax dollars have been used for this project. North Star Place Branding, our consultant for the project, has performed extensive research, stakeholder interviews, community engagement, surveys, workshops, and strategy development to develop the proposed community brand you'll see this afternoon. With that, I'll now turn it over to Director of Communications and Intergovernmental Relations, Lauren Surley, who will provide a brief overview of the process, explain what implementation would look like moving forward, and introduce the North Star team for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Reyes. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Like Ms. Reyes said, we began this work with North Star in May of last year, so it's been quite a long but very fun process, I will say, from the beginning. Our goal has always been to make sure that this brand was grounded in research and rooted in what makes San Marcos distinct. It's not simply based on what city staff thinks that the community should look like. This whole time we have had in the front of our sites is what the community wants and what the community stands for. A strong community brand is about much more than a logo. It's not just an image, it's the way that it makes you feel. It gives us a consistent way to represent San Marcos, to tell our story, and most importantly, create a recognizable identity throughout the organization and throughout the entire community. Right now, across the organization, as I know many of you have noticed, the way we look and communicate, it varies significantly. That can be from department to department, from program to program, from project to project. We look quite different throughout the organization. This is an opportunity to bring all of that together and create a more cohesive and recognizable identity for the city. And personally, I'm super excited about what comes next with that. My team will be working across the entire organization to help bring this brand to life. And what that means is that is going to be us helping the departments apply it consistently throughout their departments, create tools and templates that make it easier for employees to use, and make sure that over time, everything we put into the community feels more polished, more cohesive, and more recognizably San Marcos. Now, I do want to emphasize over time. This isn't something that we are going to leave the meeting and tomorrow we're going to start immediately replacing everything. We aren't going to go out there and start replacing signs, vehicles, uniforms, any kind of printed material that has already been printed. Implementation will be phased and very intentional. And we'll incorporate the new brand as material is reprinted or vehicles are replaced, signage is updated, or other assets that just happen to reach their normal replacement cycle. So some changes can happen more quickly, obviously, such as digital platforms, templates, materials that can be updated without significant cost. And depending on direction from council this afternoon, we do plan on beginning some of that change over happening at the end of this month towards the beginning of August. This is a real opportunity to raise the standard for how the city presents itself to our community. We're a large, dynamic organization, and we serve a community as I think what everybody would describe as a very, that has a very distinct identity. And so we truly believe that our brand should reflect that. So with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Sam Preston with North Star, and he will walk council through the work that led to the community brand being presented today.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate you for having me today. Do have a brief presentation to just kind of show where we've landed in the process and a little bit as to what went into that process. But want to first start with just how we actually uncovered the brand for San Marcos. As Stephanie and Lauren were both talking a little bit about, the need for this to really reflect the community. We did a lot of research, and from there we moved into strategy and then creativity and then into action. Our process looks a little bit like an hourglass, with the top half of that being a very wide net that we can cast to get as much insights, as much information as we possibly can. As was mentioned, we did a community survey. We surveyed people outside of San Marcos to figure out what is an outsider's perspective, or if you all have any type of reputation. We want to learn all of those things so that we can be the ones to tell our story, and we want to be the ones to control the narrative. After we did all the research, we boiled it down into this DNA and strategy formation, which you'll see here in just a minute. And then once we circulated that amongst the groups and made sure that we had consensus on the strategy and how we wanted to position San Marcos, that's when we finally started working on the creative elements, like a brand, like the logo, the messaging, the fonts and colors and all of those things. But it's very important to be rooted and based in research so that you can take the subjectivity out of the creativity. And then finally, the last portion here is brand action ideas. When we deliver the final report, you'll have a whole host of ideas of how to bring this brand to life beyond just putting a logo on something. As was mentioned, the brand is a whole lot more than just that. So let's talk about the messaging, how we want to position ourselves. And we've got a lot of brand action ideas of how to incorporate that. Now, we did do a ton of research. I won't go through all of it, but do just have a handful of slides to recap a few things that kind of helped drive some of the decisions that we made along with the creative committee and other members of San Marcos. But from the survey that y'all ran a few years ago, you guys just recently completed that again, I think towards the end of last year. So from our residents, we asked them how likely or unlikely you are to do each of the following. Recommend living in San Marcos to someone else who asks. You can see that we've got a little bit of a dip from the positives and a little bit more of a swing towards the somewhat unlikely and very unlikely. And this is a little bit of a trend. So as we were looking at those brand action ideas and how to bring the brand to life, we wanted to really look at how we can bring some more of that positivity and pride to our residents. And then we asked, what about, how would you rate the aspects of quality of life in San Marcos as a place to live? A little bit of an uptick in excellent, and then down a bit from good, and fair and poor are both a little higher. What about San Marcos as a place to visit? They have quite a few votes for excellent and a whole lot for good. So nice to see the majority view the cities favorably. And then what about the overall quality of life in San Marcos? While we did go up a little bit in the excellent category, you can see that we're barely above the same number of votes in poor and quite a bit of ground to make up for in fair. And then what about the overall quality of the natural environment in San Marcos? Because you guys really do have some tremendous assets there. Excellent went up, good is still high, and then fair and poor are both pretty low. So good to see that. And what about the shopping opportunities? That's something you guys are really known for. Excellent and good, both great scores. So you guys are doing things exactly as you should be. So we took all of that research, not just the few slides that you saw there, but all the research that we did and put it into this strategy, basically a DNA statement that says this is who and what San Marcos is, why it matters, what you get out of it as the end consumer. And what we came up with for San Marcos is, for those who value authenticity and aren't willing to settle for suburban sameness, San Marcos, with space to stand out between Austin and San Antonio on I-35, pairs the sparkle of its legendary springs and eclectic downtown with a dynamic mix of talent, ideas, and an indigenous history that spans more than 12,000 years, where you can dive deeper into the river, the culture, and your future. And then as we went through the creative process, looking at logos and fonts and colors and everything else, this was our guiding principle here. Every decision that we made had to reflect and compare with this DNA statement, so that we were putting aside our own personal biases or our own interests, and we were thinking collectively as San Marcos would. And that led us to this new logo, which you see here. San Marcos, Texas. And there's a few things that I want to really point out about this logo. It just kind of captures the city's distinct identity through this custom and expressive typography that rejects that rigid suburban sameness. One of the things we heard throughout the research is how everybody else around us is just kind of cookie cutter, and that's not us at all. So the logo's curves serve as that visual metaphor for the legendary springs and the river. It invites audiences to dive deeper into the community's eclectic culture, and it's grounded in vibrant, organic green and blue tones that really nod generally to the vibrant natural landscape that y'all possess. The bold and the flowing layout projects the dynamic confidence of a creative, historic hub, and this striking visual presence ensures San Marcos claims its own memorable space to stand out along the busy I-35 corridor between Austin and San Antonio. And as that corridor continues to boom, we do really want to stand out. That's one of the things that we heard. It's just a sea of concrete that whole way. And so how can we really stand out and express ourselves? So along with the logo, we put together some really strong colors in your palette. You are a creative group, very artsy, and wanted to give you all that latitude in which to play with a lot of great, strong colors. We also put together a brand standards guide that just shows the do's and don'ts, as Lauren mentioned, trying to get this brand all the way down to all the departments so that we have a visually cohesive brand is going to be very important. And so to have this brand standards guide really helps get you there. We also put together a little bit of a visual direction or some print ads that just show how photos, logo, fonts, colors, all of those things can come together. And what you see here is a couple different ads where every day comes naturally. And then also the other headline here, character runs deep. So we're just trying to highlight some of the experiences that people can have and expect right here in San Marcos. And along with that, some marketing language to fuel some ads or social media or brochures, newsletters, anything. We put together a brand narrative, and it's a little over a page long. I won't read the whole thing, but there are a couple paragraphs I'd like to read that just talk about what life is like in San Marcos and what we're trying to communicate and what we would hope others can quickly grasp and understand about us. In San Marcos, you can unleash your best self, whether your boots are just breaking in or worn right through. People have called this area home for the past 12,000 years, drawn to clear skies and the clean water of our famous springs. Since then, the cast of characters across San Marcos history has run deep. Residents have included Native American tribes, Spanish missionaries, ranchers, college professors, mermaids, country crooners, and even a US president. So believe us when we say that to fit in here, you don't need a Stetson on your head or spurs on your heels to prove that you belong. Depending on who you ask, people might tell you that things get weird in this part of Texas. But we'd argue that it's perfectly normal to be this uncommon. On any given day, you're able to exercise your freedom to roam all across San Marcos, painted wall to painted wall, in search of whatever floats your glass-bottom boat. Endless discoveries lie along countless trails, from tree to tea and from mermaid to scratch-made. If it feels like a bigger place, it's because there are hundreds of shops to browse through, vintage, on-trend, and luxury, next to restaurants whose specialties span the globe, all in 35 square miles. San Marcos stands as the true natural meeting point of the developing Austin-San Antonio mega region, making its appeal to big and small businesses undeniable. With I-35 coursing through town, entrepreneurs and investors know that they're getting access and visibility unlike anywhere else in the corridor. What's more, each Texas State graduate has the potential to build something bigger in Texas, alongside the 2 million people already living within an hour of San Marcos. All told, the talent pool and support for local businesses are deeper than you can project. San Marcos is for anyone who is unflinchingly and unabashedly true. If you're ready to do right by you, your friends, and your future, then San Marcos is ready for you. And then the last part that I want to share here is just some brand action ideas or brand execution ideas, excuse me. We put together a lot of visible ways that y'all can incorporate this brand. And this isn't to say this is what's going to happen or exactly what you have to do, but rather just a springboard or some starting points of what you can do. So we started with some monument or entryway signage. Again, going back to the research, we heard that it's just that sea of concrete from Austin to San Antonio. And people don't know when they're in one city or the next. And so to really try to make a way to stand out, we've got this great marquee sign with some of those living waters there on the side. And here's what it might look like at night. Some additional monument entryway signage. This is a very, very strong logo, very readable, legible, easy to understand. And again, at night. And then some wayfinding signage to carry that brand consistently throughout the entire community. Just great colors. It stands out. You guys already do a good job with the wayfinding signage, but a nice way to update it here. And then also when we look at city services, we don't want to do away with the seal. That is something that is true to you guys and can be elevated in different instances. But nice to have both on some of these garbage and recycling receptacles. You have the seal on one side and the logo on the other. And as you look at different stationery, letterhead, business cards, all of those type of things, just a nice way to, again, have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed and just being consistent through all visible communications. And then our employees, they're our frontline workers. They're the ones that truly wear the brand on their sleeves and on their chest every single day. And so wanted to have the seal on the front and then the logo on the back. And what we can do is set up a merchant marketplace on the city's website, or at different community events, and make merchandise and apparel available for purchase so that people can get their gear and wear the San Marcos brand with pride. And then looking at city vehicles, again, we still have the seal on the front or towards the front with the door, and then the logo on the back. And murals and art, you guys do a phenomenal job of that. Throughout our site visit, that was something that just continually blew us away. All the different statues or the little tiny pieces of art through alleyways or giant murals. And so we got another idea of what can be done on some building sides with the new logo. Along with some pendants or brooches or bracelets, necklaces, some new jewelry. And we had to incorporate our friend, the Texas Blind Salamander. So I had to have him right there across the logo as well. With a few other options, including that one down there at the bottom with the mermaid tail. Some additional swag like stickers and keychains or spare tire covers. Showcasing a little bit of pride wherever we go. And then as we get ready for the 175th anniversary of San Marcos, looking at different ways that we can incorporate some of our history with our present and looking at where we want to be. You can see that new logo of the 175 years there, along with this patchwork quilt with a lot of the really marquee elements throughout San Marcos. And then a great way to bring our community together is to allow them to voice their hopes. So sign and wish for our next 25 years until the 200th anniversary. But everybody can just kind of write what makes San Marcos a great place for them and sign their name. And then some additional art installations, some tile pieces, or even local artists can get some of these small canvases to be included as part of this much larger exhibit. And then some Challenger coins, But for 175 years, San Marcos has been shaped by clear waters, independent spirits, and generations who believed in what this place could become. May this commemorative coin honor that legacy and the centuries still ahead. And it's a really great idea here with some custom champagne and flutes to celebrate the anniversary. And that is it. We've really enjoyed the process as we went along. And as Lauren already mentioned, we would always advise to just be very judicial with budget and with rolling some of the changes out, starting with some of the digital items that can be very free and low cost. And then as budget allows, maybe in 2 years, 3 years, or even 4 years, you could do some of those monument and entryway signage. But from our experience, it's not uncommon to have both the old brand and the new brand kind of coexisting for 3 to 5 years, so that you can, just not burn through all funds, but rather implement as there is a need. But truly, thank you for the opportunity to work with you guys, and then happy to answer any questions or go back to anything in particular if you'd like.
Go back to one.
Okay, Council, did you say you wanted to go back to a particular slide? Which
Yeah, I
one?
wanted to go back to the slide that had the road signs or the road entry signs.
The big ones?
Yeah.
Big ones, yeah. There was the second one, I think. I like the outside, the first one with rock. It looks better than the one we have
Back
right
up.
now.
One more.
Yeah, there you go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the night version.
Yeah, so I like that. And then you go back to the other. Yeah, those should be more like our local signs that we have in the front, coming east and north and west.
Say that again?
Those should be more for the ones we already put out there, in my opinion.
We could change them.
I would do it.
You say you would or wouldn't?
I would.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I would change it, and I like it being lit up. I do like that other big one too. The third slide or whatever.
Yeah, I think what we're doing today is we're just looking at the brand, and then there's ways that it could be used, and staff will figure that out as time goes by. I can see this one in a particular place right now. Y'all know
Yeah.
which one it is, except I'm not sure about what it's going to look like from the back, but still. Anyway,
I will tell you that our staff is currently looking at redoing this Highway 80
thank you.
because we're looking at the plantings and trying to take that down. And so one of the things, if the brand, once we got through this process of kind of introducing it, there's going to be some effort to put this there instead of the waterfall logo that was there, our previous brand. And then we can definitely talk about the gateway signs and see if there's something that we want to just update the San Marcos part with the new logo, then we can definitely look at that as well.
Yeah, because what we have is hard to read it's hard to make it out if you're looking at the sign straight on. You don't see it a little from the side to see the black on the sides of the letters. Otherwise, it's off-white on off-white, and it's a blur.
And that came from pass-through toll dollars that funded those entryway signs. So we just need to see what funds are still left from those pass-through toll monies to be able to do that, just so we're not taking away from general fund and those other services
No,
that.
I'm looking at the same source of funding,
Yes.
if that's,
Yes, so that's what we would
Available.
look at and see if we want to do something like that. We've even looked at even adding a welcome to San Marcos, Texas, so it just kind of has that little welcome to, but that's something that we'll look at as well if council so desires.
okay. Mr. Gonzalez, who is online, comments, thoughts? You're still on mute, sir. Oops.
No, I was just saying I don't know how to unmute myself, but no, I'm good. I like it.
Okay,
Ish.
all right, thank you. Ms. Rodriguez?
Yeah, I think everything looks lovely. Glad to hear the reiteration of the source of funds that we're able to accomplish this. Remind me though, for the gateway signs we already have, that rendition that we just showed, that have the native planting, the lighting, that is still to come, correct?
Correct. That's still to come with our current signs.
Okay.
That's part of TxDOT's kind of, they have a, I believe it's called Blue Ribbon Program or something like that. And so they're able to help fund the irrigation and the plantings.
Nice.
As long as the cities, want to maintain beyond that. And so that's something that we'll be working with Ms. Tomites on to get those things installed as well.
And that goes for the lighting as well?
For the
For each of the
lighting,
signs?
the lighting is already supposed to be on the current signs that we have, but it was installed with the wrong power source. And so they're working through getting the right power source, so they should be illuminated even now with what we have.
Okay.
And so we just gotta get the right power source installed, and they're working on getting that done.
Okay. I gotta go drive by there at night.
Yes. But we can definitely get a cost on what it would be and make sure that we still have funding. I'm looking at Mr. Condor because he's the one that helped us ensure with that and see if we can get something fabricated and get an estimate for the new
Yeah.
logo.
And let me state, for those of y'all who are here, when the logo on the white background was showing, the blue looks kind of a purpley blue and also in the color palette, and it isn't. It's a beautiful blue. So what you're seeing on these monitors is not exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be a true blue. And so in my opinion, that's better than the purplish blue. So,
Need that Carhartt in all black. I'm just kidding.
but yes, it looks lovely. And it sounds like that all's good. So carry on.
Yes, you'll see the things come out in print more than anything. Our digital signatures and things like that, we're going to try to get those, but we're also not abandoning the city seal. We
Right.
know that's an important part of our identity, so we're keeping the city seal, but adding this new logo
Well,
instead of the
different places,
waterfall.
different
Correct.
things can be used. So,
Correct,
yeah, that's
yes.
fine.
Thank you to
Anything
Ms.
else,
Early and
Ms.
Ms.
Early?
Zusak.
Just thank you for your support, and also I just want to extend a big thank you to our entire community. This was a months-long process, really over a year,
A lot
but
of input.
we had a lot of input from our residents. So I just want to, if anyone is listening, thank y'all for all the time that y'all provided us to come out with a successful logo and
Yep.
brand.
And thank you to our committee who met multiple times to
Absolutely.
refine and move this over here a little bit and do this. And I think the end result, we ended up in the right place. So, Ms. Garza, I know that you just got online with us. Did you want to express anything about the logo? And I know you read your packet and saw this lovely new design.
I guess the launch or like the unveiling or whatever for the like the larger community, when does that happen? Or
Good question.
That is a good question. I'm going to kind of let the expert Sam talk a little bit about that. From our end, it is not going to be a big unveiling, remove the sheet and take a look at this. I think we all saw what happened with our friends up the road and how it was not the most successful unveiling in Austin. And so this really is a slower rollout. And that has proven successful in other communities. So we're going to start with digital signatures, as Ms. Reyes explained, digital signatures and our online presence. And Sam, do you have anything to add for the success in other communities?
Yeah, thank you. So some of the things that have been really successful is not focusing on the visuals or the logo itself. Rather, let's talk about the process and the why of the project. Is it to get more economic development? Are we trying to bring in more visitors? Are we trying to give some community pride or bring in more residents to contribute to our community? Just talk about that kind of messaging and as well as what this new brand does mean, what went into the logo, what went into the messaging, and how our residents will benefit from that. As you talk about those things for the first few weeks, and then you just kind of start putting the brand to use. You don't do any big ta-da or big unveiling, but rather you just start using the logo. First, as Lauren mentioned, in digital instances, and then over time, it'll just start to make its way into the community. But no need to rush into making a big unveiling of any kind.
Right. Okay. So I just wanted to clarify why I asked, and I'm not sure if this was already brought up, but with the unveiling of that, the what is it, wayward signage? Um, yeah, our community had like big thoughts, feelings, and opinions regarding input or lack thereof. And so I just, I think that I think every council thinks that their community is unique, but I really do think that ours is unique in that we are like artistic and a really well engaged community. And so I just don't want our neighbors to feel like bamboozled. You know, they're like, oh my gosh, we just had this conversation about community input or lack thereof, and y'all are like sneak attacking this on us. And so that's why I was curious about that part.
Yeah, so, and I don't know if you were late and didn't catch the beginning of that presentation, but all the visuals that were shown are meant to be purely as inspiration. None of
Mm-hmm.
these are hard and fast or set in stone. So can still get some community input on the right type of designs or right type of structures for the wayfinding signage. But you're absolutely right. Community input is always crucial.
Right. Yeah, I did. I just got on around 3:30, so I'll go back and rewatch the rest. I do appreciate, just want to say real quick, the supplemental material that's online, and so I'll try to amplify that. So for our neighbors who you know, I'm sure they're gonna have some thoughts on this so that they kind of can see exactly what you described, which is like what was the kind of like the phases and like what the rationale was and the why and the vision. I think that might help our neighbors better understand kind of the process.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely
So
right. You
thank
got it.
you.
And just to be, oh, go ahead, Ms. Garza.
It was me, Mayor,
sorry.
and the only thing I was going to say is that I would suspect, and Ms. Surley and I haven't talked about this per se, but, you know, with our news hub and everything being digital, that's another thing. There's going to be some splash about it. It's not like it's a hidden secret or anything about us doing this, but there will be more that will go out to our residents when it comes to our news hub and unveiling and talking about some of the things that that Sam talked about earlier during the presentation in terms
Yeah.
of the process and even that DNA statement, because the DNA statement was what we kept going back to as the committee was looking at it to try to see how we were ensuring to capture the things that people said were important to them.
And just to make it clear that it's the brand, and all of these other things are suggestions of how it can be used. We're not going to go out and spend money on doing all those things. That's just ideas. Some of that would be private. Would we be licensing it?
Yes, we'll be moving forward with that. Yeah.
Okay. So, don't think that there's going to be champagne glasses for everybody tomorrow, because that's not happening.
That's correct.
Okay, so, yes, sir.
Just community voice. I've heard that maybe we could put something in there, like if you go to the first sign under Texas, you put like a star and then state, so we're representing the state as well, or the university as well. I've heard that several times through the community, so I just wanted to point that out.
And I think we'll
Awesome.
definitely have some opportunities to look at, you know, if there are certain, because we've only got the 2 signs right now, and later we do want to have other signs in other locations, major locations, and that's one of the things I talk about even with Ms. Ramirez in Economic Development, to say, hey, how can we get other people to help us pay? And so I think if, you know, we don't have the funding identified for other locations, but if there's other locations that, you know, Texas State wants to partner with us on or things like that, then we can definitely look at where those opportunities are to do that in other locations.
Or if someone has a development, whether it's housing or business nearby, if they're willing to put something up, we would have a discussion with them about it. Okay. I think this concludes this part of our program. Thank you very much. Again, thanks to all the community who provided input, and thank you to the committee that met, I don't even know how many times, got all of this refined.
Many times.
All right. Ms. Trevino, let's go with item 2.
Receive a staff presentation on the update to water and wastewater impact fees.
All right.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. At our May 5th work session, staff provided a presentation on the process for updating the water and wastewater impact fees. Today, staff will continue that conversation by discussing how impact fees are used to fund projects, and they will introduce the maximum allowed rate for the updated impact fees as determined by our impact fee study. There will be no council action required today, but staff will be back on August 5th to hold 2 public hearings in regard to impact fees. On September 1st, staff will formally seek council approval to adopt the updated impact fees. With that, I will turn it over to Sean Condor, the Director of Engineering and CIP, to begin his presentation.
All right, thank you much. So let's see if I can get this thing to work. One more time. You can do it. Click the mouse keyboard. All right. Maybe the dramatic pause here.
I don't know how this new system is working or who does whatever.
I've clicked it 3 times, so I have a feeling it's going to go.
It might. And while we're talking about technical things, I don't know why there's that little hand on the screen up here that we're seeing, but whoever has control over that, if that's movable. Can you move it over there? Yeah, it was on Sam's face earlier. There we go. Thank you, Mr. Condor. We appreciate it.
Hey, look, maybe I touched the screen. Don't use this. Okay, here we go.
Oh, we learned something new here. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
We need a tutorial on how to use this thing. As Mr. Bentalian mentioned, we were here on May 5th, and we gave a pretty detailed presentation about the impact fee introduction, land use assumptions, capital improvements plan. So not necessarily going to go over that again today. We do have it at the end of the packet if you have some additional questions or you want to refresh what was discussed the last time. So we're just going to kind of jump right into the impact fee and talk about the next steps. And really what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how the impact fees connect to the capital improvements plan. So I'm going to give you a real high-level overview. And when you talk about impact fees, it's a multi-step process. And it starts with the comp plan. And so we actually started the process of updating our master plan in 2022, but I know, and then the comp plan came up, and I think it got adopted in late 2024, I believe. So you always want to use the comp plan to make sure you're following the referred growth per the comp plan. So we got the master plan going, and then we got to a good point, we kind of waited, and then the comp plan was approved. We made sure we aligned with what was stated in the comp plan, and we don't want to contradict it. So once we got the master plan going on the wastewater and the water side, and when you think about master plans, you really got to think of what does it do? It documents the existing system, it documents the capacity issues, assesses the existing system, and identifies problem areas. It's really a wellness check for your utility, both your water and your wastewater. We also use it to identify projects. It gives us a list of projects that we need to do. It addresses deficiencies and critical route. But probably the biggest thing it does is it gives us an estimate of cost for budgeting. And we use that to then program into various plans. And so there's 3 things that come out of the master plan is you have the impact fee study, and what that does, it evaluates the fee that we currently charge to new connections. It says, hey, are we charging enough or do we need to charge more? In addition, we'll use that for developer agreements. And so a developer comes through, they're building a subdivision in this part of town, and they only need to do an 8-inch line. Well, we say, hey, our master plan says we need a 12-inch. And so that gives us the tool to say, hey, we need to upsize this, and it tells us we can pay for that upsize with those impact fees. And so we'll typically go through those developer agreements for we call it an oversized agreement typically. The other thing we do is load it into the CIP, the capital improvements program. And those will be projects that maybe can't be done with the development because they need to happen before the development. Or let's say we have a road widening going, and if we have to move this water line, we want to make sure to move it and put back the size we need for the future growth. So those are all things that we use for these impact fees. So it starts with the comp plan, feeds into the master plans, and then that will dictate the impact fee rate study as far as in a development agreement as well as capital improvements projects. All right, just kind of tying back to the CIP, you know, when you see the spreadsheet, you always hear me say, oh, the pink ones are impact fee eligible. I don't say it's funded with impact fees, it's impact fee eligible, meaning we want to use impact fees if we have them, and we always try to use impact fees first before we touch any water, wastewater rates. And so we do notate that throughout the CIP. Every year it gets updated as projects get swapped out, but we do a pretty good job of spending impact fees first and avoiding rates, water, wastewater rates for impact fee eligible projects. So when we talk about funding projects, again, think back to those 10-year CIP project presentation I give, and I always say for water, wastewater, there's two revenue sources. It's water, wastewater rates and impact fees. Water, wastewater rates are much more flexible. We can use it for expansion projects, replacement projects, operation costs, maintenance stuff. But when we talk about impact fees, you can only use it for expansion projects. When I say expansion, it's adding new capacity that wasn't there before. You can't replace an 8-inch with an 8-inch and use impact fees, but you can add a new main and use impact fees. So when we go through the process of can we fund a project with impact fees, it's a pretty straightforward flow chart. Is it impact eligible? Yes. Do we have funding? Yes. Fund it with impact fees. If we don't, then we have to fund it with water, wastewater rates. And that's the big takeaway here, is impact fees are used to offset the cost of the water, wastewater ratepayers. And it's our last resort, but it is a tool that we can use if we need to fund these projects. So you've seen this chart before. This is the FY 2026 CIP. And it's funny, I got the email today that we actually funded the project from the 2026 debt sale that occurred in the spring today. So just showing you, we started this process 18 months ago, and we're just now getting the money to fund these projects. That's how long it takes to get through the process. But I have a little star there next to the January 2026. That's the process of closing the books. So whenever we approve the CIP in September, we go through the process, we close the books. How much cash do we have? That's when we pull up our debt, our balances, say, how much do we have in impact fees? Can we offset the costs? And for the last several years, we've been able to fund all our projects with impact fees. That might not be the case in the future because some of these project costs are coming in much higher. And that's why we're here today having this conversation about updating the impact fees in the future. So this is just a chart showing the impact fees collected since 2016. And you can see it ramped up. We started about $2.5 million in 2016, 27, ramped up to a little over $4.5 to $5 million. COVID hit, everyone saw that construction going, and it spiked. Kind of matches what we saw in the sales or the property tax values, right? But it's dropped back down to more the trend we're seeing, about $4.5 to $5 million. I checked today, and as of today, we collected $3.2 billion in impact fees. So we're trending to about $5.5 to $6 million is where we should end up in 2026. All right, a little analogy here. If anyone's used rain barrels for watering landscaping, you know, that's kind of, you go back, you do the math, you look at your roof, you look at the plants you got to do, and that tells you how many rain barrels you need, right? The thing about when you talk about impact fees, we don't know necessarily what we're going to collect and what we're going to spend. We can guess, just like on landscaping, right? You don't know how much rain's going to happen, but again, I got 30 inches over last year, so that's about what I need. You know, you don't know if drought occurs and you have to start watering twice a week instead of once a week, right? That's the thing, that we don't know how quick these developments will come online that need this water or need these projects done. But we do know if we don't have the rainwater, we can supplement it with drinking water. Just like on the impact fees, if we don't have the impact fees, we can supplement it with water wastewater rates. Not preferred, but it is an option. And so that you're going to be posed a question in the next couple of meetings. Where do we establish our impact fees? So looking back at the rain barrel scenario, let's say our math says we need 4. You don't have to put 4, you can put 3, you can put 2. But when you make that decision, you're automatically saying, I'm going to be supplementing those rain barrels with potable water, drinking water. So it's just a decision we got to make, you'll have to make, I should say. And that'll be presented to you. We're going to do a public hearing at the next council meeting in August, and then September is when the actual decision will have to be made. And just this will be my last slide before I turn it over to Richard Reynosa. So where are we looking at so far? So when you look at the 27, 28 CIP, we're trending that we may not have enough. I think we will have enough for 27 CIP. We just don't know how much development is going to occur between now and January. We don't know how, if we get some grants. We have a big grant actually on the agenda tonight for the Texas Water Development Board for a Blanco Vista elevated storage tank. That will really help offset some of the need for these impact fees that can fund some of this 27 CIP should we get it. And I feel pretty good about that application. We don't know how fast some developments occur. You know, these guys will come and say, I'm coming next year, They give me the plat, and then they sit there and do nothing for years. You know, so when you talk about impact fees, we don't collect the money. The rate is established when the plat is approved, but we don't actually collect the fee till the building permits come in. So there could be years between those time periods. So it's a guess. As of today, we're about 3 million short for the 2027 CIP, but again, I feel good about that Blanco Vista elevated storage tank. I do think we're gonna get another 2 to 3 million between now and January, so I think we'll be okay for 27. But I can tell you, looking at the project list we got coming, we have a lot of needs that are gonna be really expensive in the future. And so the impact fee rate will be set at the September 1st meeting. Again, you can set it higher, or you can't set it higher than the maximum rate, but you can set it lower. And so if you set it lower, the water wastewater rates will have to increase to offset that cost. When you think about it, the maximum rate, some people argue it may discourage future development, but it will help offset future rate increases. The lower rate will just the opposite. It will help encourage future development, but will impact future rate increases as well. So it's really a balancing act. Where do we want to go with this? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Director Richard Reynosa. Let's see if I clicked too far. Go back. Let's see if this thing works. And he's going to get a little bit more into the details. I don't know how to go back, though.
You're spoiling things here.
It doesn't go left or right.
Am I going the wrong way still? Oh, great. Well, you just saw everything that we're gonna. All right. Good afternoon, Richard Reynosa, Assistant Director of Engineering. I do want to recognize we do have representatives from our consulting, Friesen Nichols and Plummer. They're our experts on the modeling and our master plans and have helped us through this process. One of the purposes for coming to you today is because we do have a very strict timeline going forward. We have the public hearing set for August 5th and then a second reading on the possible adoption of this in September. And so you have to act on that second meeting within 30 days of the public hearing, or we have to start the whole process over. That's stated by legislature on how we have to do that process. So we either have to approve the maximum or something, we have to make that decision or deny it, and if we deny it, we have to start all over the timeline on the process and everything. So again, we wanted to give you this meeting to ask any questions, give you a preview of the proposed maximum allowable fees, and again, getting any feedback at this time that maybe we can take forward to the public hearing and bring you any more information to help you consider this item. And so just real high level, our impact fees are calculated based on the total costs that are identified and then divided by the service unit equivalent, which is basically done by your projected growth over the next 10-year period. And so let's see. Okay, so on the water side, we had a total project cost of $140 million. It's discounted by the rate credits that are identified through the study that's conducted. And so our total maximum allowable cost is $134 million. And the growth projected in our water service area is 9,000, coming to a maximum allowable water impact fee of $14,519.
And that's per lot?
That's per it would be a residential lot
unit.
Equivalent, yes.
Okay.
So,
But I mean, I looked at that and went, okay, is that what, day, year, what is it? I finally figured out it was per the buildings that's to come.
right, it's equivalent back to a meter size.
Right.
Which is a 5/8 inch meter, which is a residential equivalent meter. And so everything's brought back to a single service unit equivalent is a residential meter, single family homeowning meter is 1 unit, and then every meter size above that is equivalent to one of the residential meters. And we have a table that kind of shows that. But as you get into your commercial meters or larger structures, 3/4, 1 inch, 2 inch, then that escalates based on the water usage or the water flow that would be flown through that meter. So it's not, so you don't go from a 5/8 to a 1, and that's like 2 more. It ends up being a 4 times or 6 times based on the water usage that is allowed through that meter, through that meter size. And so this 14,000, where this 14,519 rate impact fee would put us as a comparable to others is shown here. So currently we're at 4,464, which puts us at the bottom of the region, and 14,519 would put us, they're between Pflugerville and County Line. We did include the dates where these others have been adopted, these fees, and so you can see many of them are pretty recent, within the past 3 years. Ours currently is on 2018, so we're due for that update. I will say that you can update fees as soon as 3 years. So even those in 2023, they could be updated, looking to update their fees in the next coming years. And so while they're situated on the table in these locations, they could be, those could be changed in the next couple of years for those providers.
Would you explain what an SUD is?
The service unit equivalent.
No, SUD.
SUD,
Special
Special
Utility
Utility
District.
District. Yeah, so that's not a municipality, it's a special utility district that's set up to provide water in a certain area. So-
Often outside of municipal areas.
Correct, thank you. So I'll go over to the wastewater side and then kind of wrap it up with showing the cumulative changes that we're proposing here. So on the wastewater side, we did similar from our master plan. We have projects totaling $568 million. And so they identified a recoverable cost. And again, this is identifying what's the recoverable portion of those projects within the next 10 years. So we can only use the next 10 years in the recoverable portion of those costs. And there's also a credit of $39 million. And so the total eligible cost of the impact fees within this period is $295 million. And the growth over that 10-year period is identified as 26,000. We kind of showed this previously, but the reason our wastewater is bigger than our water is because that service territory, our growth projected area is a larger area because we're not confined like we are on the water side where other providers are butt up against our service area. So our wastewater has potential to grow at a higher rate than our water does currently. And so that maximum allowable fee is calculated at $11,161. And where that compares, here's a similar chart comparing to similar cities. It does put us near the top. We were previously very low, or we currently are very low at 2,684. We're projecting or recommending the maximum allowable fee at 11,161. And that's primarily because we have such large projects coming forward on there. And so as a comparison, I wanted to show you where we were in 2018. So our current rates were adopted in 2018. I wanted to show you where our changes at that time, while not as significant, it shows where these other comparable cities were at this time in 2018. You see we're just below Pflugerville. New Braunfels is at the top on the combined charge at the time in 2018. And then if we look at the comparison of where we're looking to go currently, we're still below Pflugerville, New Braunfels. It is a considerable jump. You know, it's not unknown. It's evident that it's not doubling. It's not tripling. It's almost quadrupling our fee. But many things have happened since 2018. There's been COVID, there's been cost of construction, again, the growth that's been coming forward. So there's really a lot of growth to be planned for, big projects that the city has underway or planned for that this would contribute towards paying for that growth and additional capacity, both on the water and the wastewater side of things. And I think my next slide is going into next steps. So I just wanted to see if there's any questions or anything to discuss based on these costs that you're seeing here.
Would you mention one of the questions that I asked is to which areas does this apply?
This applies throughout the city or throughout.
The timing, when?
At the time of a building permit. So the fees are established at the time a plat is recorded. So these fees are set at the time that they record a final plat and create the lot itself. The fee is charged when somebody pulls an actual building permit, whether that's a site or residential. And so, again, the effective date that we set for this fee will be when a plat is recorded, and then the fee that we received will be at the time a building permit is applied for.
So there's a lot of stuff on the ground that's still going to be paying the old fee,
Right, everything that's been recorded to date and.
or the
that-
current fee, I should say.
Correct, that's correct.
Mayor, I have a follow-up question on
Go
that.
ahead.
So one of the things that going through this, because all of this is very novel for me, one of the things that I was, as somebody who's interested in the conversation on setting a maximum, one of the concerns I had was the potential passing of the cost down to the ratepayer through, because of this. And so do we feel that that deferred, when the certificate of occupancy or you said the building permit, that's when we start charging at that point?
So instead of ratepayer, you meant homeowner?
Yes. Do we feel that that deferred, I guess, way to approach it could reduce the likelihood or disincentivize somebody from passing those on down later, whether it's like a housing development or what have you? Does that question make sense?
When we could charge it, it is established by the legislature.
Okay, so that's
So we don't
state-
make
that's
that
state law.
decision, yeah.
So
That's correct.
at the building permit statute, that's when you start collecting it? Okay.
That's correct.
I guess one of the things that we talked about the last time this came through was sort of how to incentivize, like if somebody's coming in and they want to do green building practices, they want to reuse water, they want to do those things, how can we incentivize those things through this practice?
There is criteria in the legislature that those are credible activities to the impact fees. So if they can show that they're using less water, or it's a larger subdivision and they're constructing these impact fee eligible projects as part of their construction to serve the development, then those would be credible activities to the fees that are being charged to that development.
So I think I remember the last time we talked about this, I think I looked up some of what the statute speaks to in terms of like incentivizing those things. I think it was also my understanding there are cities like Austin and others that sort of have gone outside of even what the basic limits or basic things that the statute requires to incentivize, and have now included like other things to further incentivize green building practices and those things. I know that's a big interest for us as a city. Has that been something, and this may be too preliminary of a discussion for this moment in time, but are those things we're thinking about?
It's definitely a policy decision, but what I will say is that past councils have kind of used impact fees as a non-negotiable because it's development paying for itself. Where it has come in as something that you could incentivize has been more with your economic development policy. So if there are things that you want to look at when it comes to sales tax rebate, property tax rebate, things like that, that has been a different conversation in terms of that. The only time that I'm aware of that impact fees have been waived is for things like Habitat for Humanity or something like that, where there's a nonprofit that's doing it for the good of the community benefit. But typically, it has not, councils have not waived impact fees.
Which is understandable. I guess there's an exploratory thing going on in my head right now, though, on how we can leverage this process that currently exists for things that I know our people care about, like affordable housing, like green building practices and those things. I think when we're talking about striking a balance, for me, that makes it a whole lot easier to be interested in something like setting a maximum rate, knowing that we have sort of explored those things along the way. So that's sort of the purpose of the questions that I have in trying to understand what are some cities doing to incentivize these things. Because I obviously don't want to discourage development, but I do believe that it should pay for itself. So that philosophy is clear to me.
And Councilmember, the Utilities Department does offer several rebates associated with green buildings. So in terms of energy efficiency, also on the water side, rain barrels, soil condition, I think it's called a soil saver program, and then just various other like low flow toilets. We have those as part of our base operating system within the Utilities Department, and we offer rebates. But right now, they're not associated with, say, an impact fee because those are for existing customers.
Sure, yeah. Okay, thank you for entertaining the thought.
And let me check to see, I'm interested in some of the same things that you're talking about. I would want to set it at the maximum, but have some flexibility if they're doing some of this other good stuff, environmental or sustainability. So, Mr. Scott, are you interested in what we're talking about?
Yes.
Giving some kind of whatever it is, and maybe it's a rebate after the fact, that like Mr. Pentalian was talking about. Josh? Ms. Purcell?
Yeah, I think the impact fees are necessary and should be where they're at, and I'm never going to discourage a practice that's, I don't know that this is the spot for it, but
But if we
I
have a
appreciate the
way
combo.
to encourage,
Sure.
for me, it wouldn't be
Absolutely.
waiving it. It would be some kind of small reduction or the rebate after the fact.
I think that's always the tough part is you have these ideas and just where do you land them in the process?
Yeah.
So,
Ms. Garza? Just
Yes,
checking in
ma'am.
to see if you have anything here.
No, I'm in alignment with where you are going, and yeah.
All right. So, yeah, we're good on that. Just whatever there might be out there.
Like, I think it's called LEED building or something like that.
Oh, the LEED certified?
Certified, is any of those are part of this at all, or?
We can bring back a little bit more on what the legislature states and what can be potential creditable activities. We'll research and bring a little bit of that information back for you.
Mayor?
Either credits here or rebates after the fact.
Sure.
Mayor,
Yes,
if I
sir.
will, just for the sake of the conversation, who pays the impact fees? Just so everybody knows. Generally, it's the contractor, right? General contractor?
The builder, the builder of the site, yeah. So, I mean,
Right, so-
ultimately, it's the property owner, you know.
And also for the sake of the conversation, that's market-driven to an extent, right? We've seen these prices quadruple. So yes, if we have community impact fees that are forcing your contractors to pay more into their costs, services within, prices inevitably could be passed on to the customer. So I think you mentioned something earlier about impact fees being on one side or the other, Sean. So I guess that's where that conversation really goes, correct? Is where, I mean, either way, I think the consumer's on the hook.
Yeah, the projects have to get done no matter what, so do you pay with the impact fees, or do you pay with the wastewater rates? It's
Right.
Right.
It's really the balancing act.
So it's contractor side or residential side
Yeah, existing
Community.
residential versus new
on
customers.
top of property taxes or whatever.
And this slide here is what I kind of referenced, which shows kind of your meter size. As you go up in meter size, it's equivalent to that 5/8 meter because there's a higher flow. For example, like the 2-inch is at eight times what the residential unit is. We do show here 8 and 10-inch. We don't really get into too many 8 and 10-inch meter sizes. Those are pretty big numbers, as you can imagine. But you know, we typically see 3, 4-inch for you know, multifamily, commercial. Those aren't unusual. Definitely 8 and 10 is not something we typically see at all.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez, did you have anything you wanted to add? You good? Okay. Anything else, council?
No, ma'am.
So next steps here, we're giving you a presentation today. We do have a second meeting with our Impact Fee Advisory Committee on July 13th to finalize their recommendation to council that will be brought forward. And August 5th is our public hearing date on both the financial audit of our impact fees and the impact fee study itself with that first reading. And the second meeting, September 1st, would be the second reading of the ordinance, and we'd be looking for final action. Again, that has to occur within 30 days of the public hearing. And so just to put this in the back of your mind, things to consider coming up in those meetings is we have to approve the land use, capital improvement plans. The land uses are consistent with what was approved in the comp plan, and the CIP, the capital improvements plan, is what you typically see in your 10-year CIP. So those shouldn't look any different. What the main question would be to approve, deny the maximum allowable impact fee. It can be less than the max. As Sean said, you know, this can affect future utility rates. And then another big question is we have to set an effective date. It can be as soon as October 1st, or it could be a different date if you're wanting to provide a grace period. Although I think what has been mentioned before is you know, we're kind of behind already. So setting it too far out just delays that. even further out. So just those things to consider if we want to set it sooner than later. Those can also be topics of discussion. And then we have everything posted to a impact fee website where all of this information, our studies, our master plans are all there for the public to review and look at. And that's all I have.
Any other questions, comments, council?
No, thank you.
If not, we will move on to item 3, Ms. Trevino.
Receive a staff presentation on the draft Riverfront and East Side Regional Park preliminary designs and provide direction to the city manager.
All right.
Ms. Reyes, is this you, or are we going straight to Ms. Case? Which would
This will be
fine?
Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes,
Oh,
thank
Mr.
you.
Gonzalez,
City Manager.
okay.
Mayor and Council, the next item is an update on the Riverfront and East Side Regional Parks preliminary design plans. This project has involved 2 phases of community engagement and concept development, including multiple open houses held throughout our city and online surveys to gather additional input as the concepts are defined. These plans have gone before both the Parks and Recreation Board and the Neighborhood Commission, who have provided different recommendations. Today, staff is seeking council's guidance on which improvements and amenities should be included in the conceptual designs to complete the preliminary design reports. The reports will provide the baseline cost estimates and development assumptions that will be used in future planning. At this time, I'll turn it over to Director of Parks and Recreation, Jamie Lee Case, who will walk you through the concepts and the next steps.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Jamie Lee Case, Director of Parks and Recreation. So let's see if I can, ta-da. All right, so this, as Mr. Gonzalez mentioned, has been almost a year and a half in the making. And so today we're going to go over the purpose and background of this project specifically, the process and framework, some planning target data for your information. Then we're going to get into the preliminary design review. We have 2 board recommendations, one being the Parks and Recreation Board and the other being the Neighborhood Commission, and then followed by next steps. But first, I wanted to bring, I guess, to your attention, because we do mention PDR. So what is a PDR? That is a preliminary design report. What those reports contain are the project purpose and goals. They also are going to contain the site conditions, having done a high-level environmental analysis. They're going to identify constraints and opportunities within both project sites. They're going to contain the preliminary design concepts, which is why we are here today. They're also going to identify the key amenities and program elements. Lastly, they're going to identify the high-level cost estimates and operational considerations as we proceed. What we will have at the end of this project is 30% design of the project. We have future development down to 100% design cost planned within the CIP in future years to get us to 100% design so that we could go to bid and construction. Maybe if I touch it. Ha, okay. So I've kind of already identified, what the overall purpose of this plan is. So just generally, it's going to talk about your programming, your facilities, features within both program sites, a general layout, funding requirements, and then potential implementation strategy. First, we're going to talk about the Riverfront Design Plan. This particular plan was identified as an objective within our 2019 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan. It did exclude Plaza Park because it is included within the project site of the Hopkins City Center, New City Hall, and Hopkins Corridor Redevelopment Study Area. So if you're wondering why Plaza Park is not in there, that is why. Make sure I'm not missing anything over here. Okay. Next, we have the East Side Regional Park Design Plan. The city acquired this property in assistance with Hayes County in October of 2022.
This particular project was the top scoring project submitted to Hayes County Parks and Open Space Bond Committee. It was funded with a combination of the Hayes County Bond Funding, American Rescue Plan Funding, General Fund, and Park Fee in Lieu. $6.6 million of that was Hayes County POSAC. $1 million was one-time general fund. $700,000 was American Rescue Act funding, and $200,000 was Park Fee in Lieu funding. The overall goals of both of these projects was to assess community preference and identify desired characteristics and factors that will shape the parks, evaluate opportunities and constraints based on analysis of the project sites, complement goals associated with the 2019 Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan, create a defined action plan for moving forward with park development, and build consensus and commitment amongst elected officials, appointed officials, city staff, and the community. So as was previously mentioned, we kicked this process off in February of 2025. We held this in 2 phases. Phase 1, we hosted 7 open houses as well as an online survey. Phase 2, we held 3 open houses and another online survey. Specifically for Phase 1, we held those 7 open houses over the course of a couple of months, beginning at the San Marcos Activity Center, going to Centro Cultural Hispano, Bowie Elementary, First Lutheran Church, the Activity Center again, De Zavala Elementary, and then lastly, Dunbar. So we did try to make our rounds around the community to make it as accessible as possible. Keep in mind that normally these projects are done with just 1 open house and 1 survey. We did feel it was important to expand the number of open houses since this is a regional park that is involved, technically 2, with the riverfront parks being involved. So we really wanted to make sure that we were hitting as many areas of our community as possible. For our online survey for the riverfront, we had 615 English language participants. We had 2 Spanish language participants. For the Eastside Regional Park, we had 561 English participants and 2 Spanish language participants. Across the open houses, we had 112 in-city residents register with us and 47 out-of-city residents register. Keep in mind that just because one person would register for a household, most of the time we did have spouses or partners or children that were accompanying their parents along with whoever registered. So it wasn't just 112 people. We usually did have some pretty good groups in there as well. Next, for our Phase 2, we had another round there at the Activity Center. We held one at Quail Creek Country Club. It was unfortunately rained out, so we had to defer to the Activity Center. That one, even though we did change the location, it actually was our most well-attended in Phase 2. And then we did reschedule and go back out to Quail Creek for another open house out there. We did do another online survey as well. And for the Riverfront Parks online survey, we had 651 English participants and 4 Spanish. For the Eastside Regional Parks, we had 395 English language participants and 2 Spanish language participants. In total, over those 3 open houses, we had 85 participants. As I mentioned, our largest attendance was at our rainout location at the Activity Center. So next, along with community feedback, we also utilize within the industry, we utilize planning target data to assist us in planning for growth in our community and how to meet the future demands of that growth. We utilize data provided by the National Recreation and Parks Association, which is released annually, and it's been included in your packet as well for your review. Whenever you see the abbreviation of LOS, that means level of service. And NRPA, as previously referenced, that's the National Recreation and Parks Association. So currently, to date, according to national metrics, we are currently deficient in one dog park as we sit today. And then as we move to 2030, I did utilize 2030 because that is the maximum matrix that is within our current master plan. So we would still be deficient by one dog park by 2030. Then for our, I'm sorry, oh, I thought you said something, sorry. Skate park and skate spots. Right now, we are currently, I guess, half of a skate park over the national average. We have really focused on adding skate features to our neighborhood parks since 2019. So that really has helped us keep those numbers high. By 2030, it says that we would be +2. Okay, next. We have baseball and softball there and tennis. While most facilities, it is very clear, if you look in the NRPA annual data, they don't specifically call out baseball and softball by each sport. They define it as diamond fields, and they do recommend leaving it to each community to determine what best is needed, whether that be softball or baseball. So currently, as it sits today, we are deficient by 7 diamond fields, and then by 2030, we'll be deficient in 8. Tennis, we're currently deficient in 9 tennis courts, and by 2030, we would be deficient by 11. Next, we have pickleball, and they do rank this in outdoor and indoor. So currently, we're deficient as of today by 2 pickleball courts. By 2030, we would be deficient by 3. Indoor, our current need is met because we do currently have 6. However, by 2030, we would be deficient by 1 as our population continues to grow. Next is basketball and soccer. Again, they break out outdoor basketball and indoor basketball. Outdoor basketball, our need is currently met. We have 13 available. By 2026, we would need 11, so we currently are meeting that need. By 2030, we would need 12, so we're currently 1 to the good there by 2030. Indoor basketball, we do only have 1 court available there at the activity center. Based on our population, we need 4, so we're deficient in 3. By 2030, we would still need 4, and we'd still be deficient by 3. Soccer, they also talk about outdoor fields, and so right now we have 10 soccer fields available. Based on our population, we need 19, so we're deficient in 9. By 2030, we would still need 19, and so we would still be deficient by 9. Okay, lastly, talks about passive recreation. Actually, this is not lastly, because I think we have one more. We have playgrounds where we are currently 1 to the good there at 25, and then by 2030, we would need 27. We are actively working on design improvements and future playground installations. So I feel confident that we will be able to meet that mark of 27, if not more, by 2030. Trails, we far exceed the national average, as you can imagine. So that's awesome.
Ms. Case, sorry, ma'am, real quick.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, the NRPA, the National Recreation and Parks Association.
Yes, ma'am.
When it gives these needs, it identifies these needs and the surplus as well. Does it speak to like whether it's public or because I know like for the soccer fields, for example.
All public.
Okay, so it assumes that at any time, somebody can come onto that field and,
Yes.
because I know we have some stipulations at 5 Mile Dam on like the ability to go and play on some of the fields, like when the goals are up. So it requires it to be public.
Well, it's all public land because it is parks. Now, you can program it for youth or adults. It does, the NRPA does not break out specific adult or youth usage for our purposes today. I did not break all of that out. There are obviously communities that do have adult fields and youth fields. For what they're reporting is just field use in general. They're not breaking it out by youth or adult. So they leave it to the communities to program that space.
Okay.
And I guess to further elaborate on your question, Councilmember Rodriguez, is it sounds like what's being asked too is it all public, or do you look at the private sector to also help to fill in that? And is it something that is accessible readily to all community members versus it being a pay type of situation? So is that
Yes.
kind of a little bit where you were going with your
Yes, because
question as well?
so I guess the purpose of it was, like 5 Mile Dam, I know people have long talked about wanting soccer fields and wanting to just be able to pull up at a field, have a goal there and play, similar to the way we have a basketball court at City Park. Soccer's been viewed very differently though, given the field conditions, wanting to preserve the field conditions, wanting to preserve the goals, and I get that. But given that there is such a public desire, even when I went through all of the surveys, to have these fields where you can go at any time, because we don't have them, oftentimes I see them playing at Plaza Park on the concrete there. And so I guess, as we continue this conversation, it might be a conversation more the council needs to have in terms of, if we're going to build these things, what does public access look like, even in terms of timing? Because you look at something that New York just did as a city, they realized that, you know what, maybe let's make our parks 24/7. And now you have soccer fields available 24/7 and people are using them in that way. So it's just a conversation I think we'll probably continue to have as we talk about more amenities and the usage around it. I was just wondering if the association spoke to that at all.
Sure. No, ma'am, they did not specifically. And to city manager's question, this is all municipal-owned properties. So not private, anything that would be privately accessible via fee or anything.
Right, very much in our purview to, amend.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, but if there are neighborhood HOA swimming pools, for example, maybe we don't have any, but let's pretend we did. And if they weren't open to the public, that does lessen everybody that doesn't have access to that pool. And so it reduces that number. So I just wanted to make that point. And also, are we finding in our experience that these are, where it says where deficit is about right, from where you get requests that we can't fulfill, et cetera? Do these numbers feel like they're accurate for San Marcos, Texas?
I think that we have seen, specifically for like our outdoor pool, we have seen a reduction in attendance over the years to the outdoor pool. Just over, compared to last year, this year, we are seeing a reduction in attendance there. Could it be managed access? I don't know, because residents are free.
Or it's hot?
But it is, I can't really point to the exact reason, but I can just point to the number of participants that are going to the pool.
Yeah, and I was talking about all of these numbers, the basketball and all that.
Yes, ma'am.
If we were, this is good, and this is somebody's calculations, but
Right.
is this pretty applicable to us? Is
I
this
think
what
it
you feel
is.
like we
I think
need?
across the board, it is.
Okay.
Yes, based on our population and level of service, I do feel that way.
All right.
One thing I did want to mention, Councilman Rodriguez, to if we were to say open up more use on the soccer fields, for example, you already kind of touched on that's a lot more wear and tear on those fields. So we would need to look at how best to schedule or allow those uses.
And we would have to work really diligently because we do have a very large youth soccer league that really, they really are very vocal whenever the fields don't look well for us. And obviously, we want everybody to have safe play. So over time, would that be switching to turf, which is very, very expensive? That might be something that we have to, plan out for future. That way it reduces the amount of maintenance over time. But we would also, if we extended park hours, we would also have to make sure we have personnel on to be able to address things like trash and restrooms and those kinds of things too.
100%, yeah, there's a lot to consider. It's just like when we look at these figures, the reason, again, I asked the question because Mayor's right. If we're saying that we have certain things, but they can't really be accessed, do we really have them?
Yeah,
It's sort
totally
of that
get it.
question, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
And just given especially with the World Cup here, and just the interest I know that exists when it comes to soccer, it's just, there's nothing there to actually go and take that interest and do something with it. And of course, the privatization of children's sports in general, though. Knowing what people are paying for select sports right now for their kids, like having something for free is everything.
100% agree with you.
Yeah, that's sort of where I was coming from with the question.
And we do have some proposals for family-friendly stuff that we're looking at right now, but that's why I was asking the question too, is like, do we look to the private sector? And one of the things that, Ms. Ramirez is talking about also and looking at it is community benefit and make sure that there's access, for our residents. It's not always free, but there may be programs that are more affordable for access, to our families. So just something else that we've been looking at.
All right. I guess I didn't really speak to the slide, but I guess it kind of spoke for itself. We're currently deficient by one splash pad per our population, one outdoor swimming pool, but currently our need is met on the indoor pool with the natatorium at the activity center, but by 2030 population growth, we would be deficient by one. Alrighty. Parks and Recreation Board, as I had mentioned at the beginning, did ultimately provide a recommendation. They began their deliberation in September at their regular meeting. The riverfront parks focused on really reducing parking that was originally proposed in their initial concept, then pulling parking away from the river, and then the next most of their time was spent regarding the layout of the baseball fields there at Raymond Lucio Park. For the Eastside Regional Park, they focused on additional baseball fields and location of the amenities on the site. And they did adopt their recommendation in December of 2025. Here it goes. Okay, this is their initial concept that they considered. I don't know if I'm going to be able to draw on this. I was looking to see if Hayden was over there. So let's see what happens.
Give it a try.
This is A. Yeah, so this is the very initial concept. So within your for those watching at home following along, this concept A would start on page 127 of the council's packet. City Council has been provided printouts as well so they can easily flip. Oh, thanks. Oh.
So this is a concept that came from all of the open houses
Community
and all
feedback
that.
and some initial staff feedback by way of, we actually on the staff side reduced parking quite a bit and weighed in on some parking orientation. Thank you, Hayden. So let's see if
You
it
have a
works.
key for this map thing that you gave us, where you can see what's not in the park by X's and check marks? You know, so-
Everything is vastly in the park. The only thing that was modified over time was parking and the baseball orientation.
Okay,
I'm
good.
trying to get this to go. Aha. A hot dog. There we go. Now I might need to change the color.
It'll disappear
Oh, will it? Yes. Okay, so the initial area that they focused on, there's parking here where there's currently parking at Children's Park. Additionally, There was a roundabout with parking proposed as well, because this drive creates a lot of congestion on busy weekends. So it becomes a huge pedestrian vehicular interaction area. We did also add in sidewalks and trail into this initial concept. Additionally, there's parking with a roundabout here at Rio Vista Drive. There is the splash pad here, but you will notice that there is no swimming pool here. The tennis courts would be turned into multi-use courts, so pickleball, tennis, as they are now. We could potentially even add in basketball here too. Is there, I think Pflugerville actually has 3 different sports, but.
And you said the pool comes out?
Yes, the pool is shown as being removed. There's a couple of reasons. That was a survey question. It was also, I added on the message board that it was within our Parks 2019 Parks Master Plan to evaluate relocation of the swimming pool. Right now they're showing that the swimming pool would be relocated out to Quail Creek. So that's where that is shown. And then those are
Real
the.
quick,
Yeah,
so you mentioned the tennis courts becoming multi-use courts.
they're already multi-use courts.
But like in that case, would they count as both a pickleball court and?
And they do right now, yes, sir. Yeah, we have tennis and pickleball courts right now. Mhm. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the next concept, which is the Parks Board's, come on. Maybe it's because I'm locked in. Now push the arrow? Which arrow?
The arrow is way to the right.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, the little circles are still there.
Mr. Migo, the man of many talents.
He is indeed. I think it's erasing, which is fine.
It should erase it a lot. Of course, it doesn't do it very simply.
I've got some
Sorry.
windows at home.
This is why we haven't really started using this yet.
Of course, I'm gonna be the guinea pig here. I need to,
That magic pen should erase.
but I need to go back.
Are you gonna be on D?
Yes,
the
ma'am.
recommended plan?
Yes, ma'am. Ooh. Can I just use the mouse?
You try. Might work better.
Yeah, I had not picked up that the pool was gonna be gone, and I'm looking at these little boxes,
Here we go.
and I don't see that that's telling me that either.
Articulated, yeah.
I'll use, red is gonna stand out better.
Let's see if that's.
Okay.
Yeah, what's different? What's gone?
Okay,
Right.
so the primary difference between the initial concept that you saw and the Parks Board's recommended concept D is the parking orientation over at Children's Park. You notice that the parking, there's a parking lot below the playscape area. But we did still keep the circle drive there at the end. We do have a lot of school buses from out of area schools that come. So we still needed an area in which for the school buses to be able to safely unload children and turn around. Then the baseball fields, reducing that, what we currently have is 4 baseball fields and a softball field there at Raymond Lucio, and then down to 1 baseball field.
On the less parking for Children's Park, did you say it's less parking or just moved?
It is reduced from the very first one, yes. That was what
And-
the Parks Board really focused on. They did receive community input at their public, or their regular meetings, asking them to consider reducing the number of parking spaces.
Well, there's not, but I'm going to say 12. It's probably more than that now. And people park at all these places across the street to get
Right.
there. And I would think we would want more parking. There's certainly a lot of space between CM Allen and Children's Park.
This would still give us a lot more parking than we currently have. I believe it would give us 44, 46 spaces. Whoopsie. Yeah, 46 spaces is what the current concept shows.
And how many do we have now?
I think it's about 18.
Yeah, that's my primary question. So much of the feedback and even concerns that were presented in the survey that was collected was parking. Do we have like the number of parking spots currently in this geographical area?
I have that on my desk. Yes,
Okay.
I do. And we have added more parking in the plan, but it's vastly on-street by changing the parking orientation from parallel to head-in. That gave us a number of on-street parking spaces that we currently don't have.
Does that take out a lane?
It does not take out a lane. No. We did work with engineering, planning, and traffic on this as well to make sure that it will reorient the bike lane to be on the opposite side so that it prevents any vehicular interaction. So there's a two-way bike lane on the opposite side currently shown. This is all conceptual. It's not, to, construction specs, so this is definitely going to change over time.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell, even when we can read this, like the things that you just said. I don't see that on this map.
Which thing?
That the parking is going, that there'll be more parking spaces.
Oh, correct,
Children's
yes.
Park.
Well, I can provide that. I wasn't sure. I wanted to start with having the conversation on what y'all like, what y'all don't like,
Yeah.
so that I have a baseline, so that we can then work towards getting something finalized in the future. So this is great feedback, so that I know exactly what I need to provide y'all to have the most information.
People with private parking lots right at that intersection, that they got the little canopy and the guy in the chair taking, I don't know what they're charging.
$30 an hour from what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Only Toledo, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm, and I look at all this green space, do I want a lot of parking near the river? No, but there's a lot of, well, I don't know if they're all going to Children's Park or exactly where they're going. Some may be going
Sure.
to
And
other spaces, but still, there's a lot of people. And I know we can't provide parking for everybody who ever thought about coming here. But
Right.
still, I know the parking at Children's Park is pretty minimal now.
Correct, it is.
May I sort of expand on the request for future discussions in terms of like what I would be looking for? It kind of gets at the question Mr. Scott asked earlier in terms of a key. I don't know if Half Associates, so essentially like from concept to concept to concept, understanding what currently exists, what is each concept proposing to either take away, add.
Okay.
I think having to go flip each time to figure out, I'm missing things along the way.
But these are great, it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
not
Just
everything
need
is
some-
even on here. So-
Right.
Something to access them.
Okay.
Because like to Mayor's point about the swimming pool, unless you're really looking at it,
You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a map of what's current in this format in order to see, that it's missing. So, okay, continue, or is it still open from over here? Because I'm going to go ahead and bring up the elephant,
There you go.
Okay.
if you're okay.
Do you want me to continue to go through the other
Sure.
concepts? Okay.
Sure.
So the next three concepts are what the Parks Board utilized. They held discussion about as well. Come on. Dang it, it's doing it again.
Actually, D's in here twice. It's here without a back, and then it's on the back.
Yeah, I
of
just
C.
need one.
to take the binding off.
Technology is wonderful when it works.
It is. What?
Oh, stop. That's
There's C.
amazing.
D, but somewhere you're going to see
Okay,
under
great.
D that doesn't have
Um,
anything on the back. I think it was the first one.
Okay, so the Parks Board did so within the packet that I printed you, what you have in front of you is every single concept that the Parks Board discussed. Anytime that the Parks Board wanted to see a recommended change, we went all the way from concept A to H. So what you have printed that is not included in this presentation today is everything else. So, but what it came down to was D, E, H, and, okay, all the way to G, because we have G in here as well. So, concept E, the only thing that is different between concept D and concept E is the number of baseball fields. That is the only difference. So you'll notice that there are 4 baseball fields and a softball field there, just like it is now. So a little bit of different orientation, but still.
So it's keeping the fields and all the other stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes.
Without the pool.
And that's,
Without the pool. The pool has not been included in any of the concepts.
okay, and that was E. The difference in D and E is.
Is just the baseball field orientation.
And then there's
16
also
parking spaces.
children's parking orientation as well, right below.
But that did not change from D
Right,
to E.
just making sure it's
Yes,
said
sir.
that out loud.
But the permeable parking along, I guess, below Children's Park goes from 46, or I guess from D to E, it increases from 30 to 46.
Okay.
So there's also 61 parking spaces.
I didn't see that they had.
Would you say that again, Mr. Gonzalez?
So the parking lot, I guess technically it's east of Children's Park, but
Okay.
based on the map, underneath the park.
have
The
it.
permeable parking on D has 30 spots, and on E it has 46, but I'm not,
No, it's still 46 on concept D.
okay, because this map says 30, but.
It says 30. It says permeable parking
Is
for
that
30 on D.
is that the recommended one? Your very
On
very
D.
front D
Yeah,
that's the recommended one?
yeah.
The
very-
D
Okay.
that doesn't have anything on the back.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says 30.
Okay. Then
And E says 46.
46.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Okay, next is concept G. Again, it did not change the parking there. It is still 46. But they did remove the baseball fields altogether in concept G. Concept H, again, the only thing that changed is the baseball field number, and that reduced that from 5 to 3. Do y'all want me to hold before we move to East Side?
Can we discuss the baseball field, around the baseball fields and what the board's feedback was, 1 versus 3 versus combo softball,
That's where I
baseball?
was getting ready to go, but she wanted to go through these other concepts, which was a good idea, but,
Yeah.
okay.
Sure, because
Let's let her do the Quail Creek one first, because
they're contingent upon one
Yeah.
another per the Parks Board's recommendation.
Yeah.
The Parks Board's recommended D is contingent upon their recommended Quail, or East Side Regional Park Concept B.
And just for the public clarity, I know we're talking about the Parks and Recreation Board recommendation, but I would also say simultaneously, we mentioned the fact that it was in conflict with what the Neighborhood Commission.
And I'm gonna touch on
yeah,
that.
had recommended.
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to be touching on that as well. So the initial concept, known as East Side Regional Park Concept A, initially had the 5 baseball fields, has 4 multi-use fields that can be used for soccer, lacrosse, rugby, We also have, I think it was like 12 pickleball courts. Let me zoom in here.
I'm gonna have to go get my magnifying glass.
I know, me
Turn
too.
the Glass on, I can't see.
Because the words on here are really tiny.
Yeah, so we have 12 pickleball courts, then we have 6 tennis courts, a basketball court. You can also utilize a pickleball tennis court as a mixed-use court, so we could add basketball as well. We added 2 outdoor racquetball courts. Then we have a demonstration and community garden. We have a 2-acre dog park. We'd heard that one of our board members had mentioned wanting to see a food truck area out by the open lawn and open play space, which is also near the outdoor classroom, a nature playground. There is a 5 to 12 all abilities playground, a 2 to 5 all abilities playground, as well as a large pavilion. A 8,500 square foot pool, which is the same square footage and lane width of what we have at Rio Vista. Additionally, there is a splash park and a small and medium pavilion with restroom facilities. And let's see, we also did work with engineering to include a regional floodplain storage area as well. And the majority of this property, there is a portion of floodway that goes, and I did provide this to Hayden too, but let me see if I can't draw it. Maybe. Okay. So it goes right here. And then it kind of cuts across this way. And so this is there's a very large ridge up on this side here.
On which side? Oh, I see.
Yeah, I just tried to change my arrows here. This area, it's kind of like all of this, basically. Is this area specifically is 100% out of floodplain. This area over here, there is some floodplain. It's like medium. It's basically what all of Rio Vista is right now. So you can build playgrounds, those kinds of things there. But we did try to keep that into consideration here as well. Okay, turn this off. Arrow. Okay. Haha. Now I need an eraser. Oh, that's a highlighter.
Using the old golf cart pads or?
I mean, I think that we're going to be able to utilize some of them, but we wouldn't really know until we got into proper design and construction on how much of those are actually going to be usable. Most of them are actually in pretty good condition, so we'll probably be able to use some of those and repurpose them for shared use pathways. We do have natural and shared use pathways shown throughout the project. One other thing that we've had to take in consideration as well is this is a gas line. Right here. That's a natural gas line, so you can't build on top of a natural gas line. So we were really trying to stay, and I think it actually kind of comes right about here. So.
Goodness.
Yes. So,
Limiting.
We, it's been fun trying to make the puzzle pieces fit. But this is the recommended concept B provided by the Parks and Recreation Board. The difference between concept A and B is the addition of the 4 baseball fields and the relocation of the mixed-use fields over here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and erase.
Okay, what's next?
I have to erase, otherwise it'll go to the next slide, apparently.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, I gotta, apparently you can't get too doodly over here. I know. Okay, now, hand, and you go away. I'm gonna have to teach everybody how to do this.
I'm thinking, y'all, mark what time this is on the
Okay.
meeting.
Okie dokie. And then I did mention that the other concept plan that was discussed was option A. So with the East Side Regional Park, I apologize because we've already been calling it Quail Creek just because everybody calls it Quail Creek, which is what the survey actually showed despite us asking the community, what do you want to call it? Basically, everybody's like, everybody's going to call it Quail Creek anyway. So that is part of the Parks and Recreation Board's plan as well. So we've already reviewed this particular concept. Councilmember mentioned, the Neighborhood Commission. I began attending the Neighborhood Commission meetings in January, and they did pass their recommendation opposing the Parks and Recreation Board's recommendation in May. And that is included in your packet. So-
Commission, or there's no neighborhoods around? Tell me
No,
the,
it's our neighborhood commission.
The Neighborhood Commission specifically.
Yeah.
So your appointed body,
the whole, or just sections of it,
the whole body.
whole body?
Yes, sir, the Neighborhood Commission, yes. So looking for some council direction related to the Parks and Recreation Board's recommended concept. Does council want to proceed as recommended or modify? I believe I already am hearing conversations, so I think we're going to be modifying in some areas, and if modification is desired, which amenities in each concept should we revise, remove, or add? And is there any other direction as we proceed?
I will tell you that at this point, without having the list of what's being removed and a list of what's coming in that I can check off, I'm not going to be able to say a whole lot about those. But I can say that I do not agree with the Parks Board idea of removing, reducing the ball fields at our current park. So I'll just, here we go. I'll just start that conversation. I'm not against having more, but to not keep the ones that we have, I think is not a good idea. So I'll just put myself out there for the first one.
I think they could be
I
modern,
agree.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I'm in
hearing
alignment with you,
a
Mayor.
Leave the fields?
Yeah.
Are you a leave them, but okay to add some more out at the new park?
See what comes up with future discussion after that input. I do find it's interesting that neighborhood board's got 11 members and parks only has 4 or 5.
9.
9.
Oh, well, maybe that website's not up to date then.
We have 2 vacancies right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Y'all are considering those this evening.
Yeah, and did those, I guess they would never really meet together and discuss.
No,
That-
Parks Board is solely focused on, parks, but that's
Yeah.
why, preemptively, I figured the city
Yeah.
council was going to want to know if the neighborhood commission had weighed in.
Yeah.
So
smart, yeah.
I went to the neighborhood
Yeah.
commission before coming to y'all.
Well, so many things
Thank
go
you.
through that route, so thank you.
Exactly.
That was a good idea.
I figured I would save some time.
Okay, so I have Mr. Pasek and Ms. Rodriguez to leave the fields where they are.
I believe Ms. Garza also unmuted.
Well, I'm getting ready to go around and ask others. So, Ms. Garza, where are you on, it looks like she's agreeing with us, so, okay, thank you.
Yes, Mayor. Thank you.
And Mr. Gonzalez?
I was just curious as to why Parks Board recommended a reduction in fields. Like, would the one field be, the improvements to the one field make it, I guess, a better field than having 5
Yeah.
subpar fields, or what was the logic
The
behind that?
terminology that they used was a championship field. I believe that their thought was pulling an amount of traffic away from the riverfront parks.
I was also surprised when I went back, and full respect to all the people who serve on volunteer boards and take time out of their day. I was, to Mr. Gonzalez's point, I went back to go watch the conversation. I was a bit surprised to hear in the discussion some of the rationale being aesthetic. And that to drive on 35, that we should be able to look down and not see baseball fields. And I can tell you, somebody who grew up in this town, that is one of the most important places, not even to that adjacent neighborhood, but to the kids who go and play there.
Yeah.
And so I was really happy to see that that is what surrounded the neighborhood commission discussion. And how these bodies, you know, despite conflicting views, can sit here and help us determine something. And so, yeah, I'm happy to see my colleagues where y'all stand and share that
Yeah.
same interest as well.
Yeah, so let me go back to Mr. Gonzalez and ask him where he is on this one.
Yeah, because initially and maybe this was all just like something I made up in my head, but I was under the understanding that the one field would be I guess maybe because of the terminology of a championship field, but I was thinking that the single field would be more like semi-professional, where it could potentially bring in like tournament revenue because we're meeting higher standards or whatever. But it seems like it's all just aesthetic, and there's really no
Yeah.
benefit to going down to a single field.
I
So
hope-
I think I'm with keeping all of these. If we're gonna build like I said, like a semi-professional stadium that could potentially bring in revenue or bring in other
Yeah,
things, I might be more willing to consider a single field there, but
yeah, but you can't have
Absolutely,
tournaments with one
yeah.
field.
No, that's why it would be
Yeah.
a championship field. We already hold
Yeah.
tournaments. And we're hosting the Softball
Right,
World
right,
Series
right.
right now at Gary.
Right.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really
Yeah,
excited about that.
I think I'm with my colleagues in keeping
Yeah.
the fields. I mean, I'm not opposed to the additional 4 at Quail Creek, but I don't think we need to reduce the number of fields.
Okay, and Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I'm for keeping them, but if people are concerned about the aesthetics, that would be a very inexpensive thing to fix up with a modern gate or modern fencing and redoing the
Yeah.
parking lots.
Personally, I think it looks kind of nice when you drive through a town to see that they value the kids' sports and,
Yeah.
and the baseball, and I may be a little biased on that, but still.
And it's centrally located too. It's something everybody can see, you know, you could have a awesome facility that's just kind of out of line of sight too, which I'm a firm believer even to the soccer field conversation before, where we have so many soccer fields in one dense location, you know. Being from El Paso, you just had fields just everywhere. And obviously a bigger city, but yeah, having that, be able to see it, it's a really nice place, so we'll keep it.
If I can get some clarification, so you want to keep all 5 as they are. You're saying keep baseball fields, but I just wanted to quantify a number.
Okay, I think I heard people say 5.
That was my understanding. I
Yes.
just wanted to make sure.
5. Yes, that's what I've written down
Okay.
for everyone who is present.
Okay, with that in mind, the Parks Board, as I referenced, they did make their recommendation of concept B contingent upon just one baseball field. So while they did not specify that this would nullify what they were wanting, I just wanted to point that out, that they were saying that they were tied together.
Right.
So
if
Well,
we're,
that's why I was asking the question, but I guess it's best to ask one at a time. So now when we talk about the East Side Park, that the Parks Board was making up for the loss of those fields.
Right.
And there's 9 here. Are we interested in adding the 4 or 5 to the East Side Park?
I am, but could we go back real quick to the question of what we're keeping at the riverfront parks?
Sure. Which
So
one do you want me to?
essentially, my question is, so between D and A, the single field has an open lawn, but it looks like in order to have the open lawn, we really only have to give up that one field.
Right.
Like, would it be possible to keep the 4 that are like together and still have
We
the
can
open
keep
lawn?
the current orientation as is. We already have an open lawn there currently. Where they would have to be adjusted is when we would modify the parking orientation. So if we reduce the parking and move it and alter that, that's what shifts that 5th. Basically, it's a softball field, although we do use it for the littles in baseball. But we could maneuver it where there was still open lawn space there. Because we do have some, trees and stuff like that that we want to protect in that area too.
So, Ms. Case, is this looking, when you're talking about riverfront parks, if the desire is to keep the 5 baseball fields, is that really looking at kind of option E for the riverfront? Because option G had the no baseball fields, option H had the 3 baseball fields, and
Yes,
then
I guess
A-
it would.
So it's E, right? So just, if that's kind of what we're talking about, and then what we would want to do is to bring council for the next time that we bring this back, is if it's looking at the 5 baseball fields remaining, then what all is being proposed to change with that concept so that they can compare what exists today and what that layout looks like? And so I think that'll help conceptualize that in a more realistic way for them and more able to grasp. So I think option E is what I'm hearing council say that they're really wanting to look at. Maybe look at some black fencing, maybe look to see if there's a way to kind of, later on to add some of that on. But as far as layout, it looks like it's option E. And then it looks like where they were going with the baseball fields for the East Side Park, looks like it was more like option A. If it was adding the 5, right?
Yeah, and to your point.
No, I would disagree with that.
Okay,
Well, that's what I was trying
I
to go
would-
around
I
the
would-
table on,
yeah.
so thanks for the E, although I can't find my E, but it's gotta be here somewhere.
Yeah, no, I would think it'd be wise for the community to think about these baseball or softball fields because it's a big market, it's a big income. I did it with my daughter, so I know, we spent a lot of money going to hotels, paying the fees,
We
using the
would just need
concession
council to
stands.
set those
And that's
fees.
just me, not all the, so I mean, if we opened up as a literally softball, baseball field, kind of a medium area and really good courts or fields, basically you'd have people from all over coming to these instead, because it'd be a lot more,
Yeah,
just newer.
Are you looking at
I'm looking at
the
concept.
East Side
Concept
B?
B plan.
East Side B, and are you thinking one of those is softball and one of those is baseball?
I don't care either
They're
or.
both baseball.
That's what I thought, he was saying one's softball and one's baseball. Do we have enough softball fields now?
I believe so. Yeah.
How many do we
I'm looking
have?
at the softball mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we,
yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, can we, essentially, like, even though they are baseball, they're aligned to be baseball
Yes.
fields, we can retrofit
We can
them.
make adjustments on the
Yeah,
fencing
you can-
depths and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would
Which we
need-
do now.
So we would have the 5, 9 if it's B. So it's the 5, the 9, plus the softball fields
Mm-hmm.
at Gary. And so is that what we want our niche to be, or are we wanting to look at some soccer fields and all that? I think that's what we want to know
Soccer
from
fields
it.
are, those what the mixed-use fields
The
here are.
multipurpose.
Those can be used for soccer, lacrosse, rugby, they can be used for a number of mixed sports. So,
Okay, so council, the question is, I guess I'm gonna say, how many fields do you want to see at East Side?
and something that, again, to consider, obviously, this is conceptual. Where the current location of these fields is now, I will struggle with the floodway a little bit. So it is going to be a little bit of a challenge on orientation, but we'll get it sorted out with engineers if city council wants us to add, have 9 fields out there.
And Ms. Case, when it says neighborhood commission opposed the 9 fields, that was really just because the proposal was to take them from Ramon Lucio. They're not against the 9 fields being at
There was
Eastside
that
Park.
too.
Just wanted to make sure
Yes,
that.
ma'am. No, thank you for bringing that up. I don't want to speak for the commission, but that was part of the conversation that they had. There was less concern about the back 5, but concern about the 4 being as close to Blanco River Village, as well as the mixed-use fields being right behind the homes on Bogey Lane.
And
I do remember that.
And effect on the neighborhood is a question that I'm going to ask before we're done here. But I'm looking at this, and it says in 2030, we will be short 8 diamond fields. So here's 9. We could get ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mr. Gonzalez was at 9. Mr. Scott, were you at 9?
Yes, I was.
Thank you. I can be at 9. Ms. Garza? 9. Mr. Bissell?
I could be at 9. There's just a lot more that goes into baseball as far as maintenance,
Yeah.
et
Yes.
cetera.
That's my thing.
And I don't think they get used quite as much. I think they're great economic driver as well for the town, which is cool too, but at the same point, I would be cross between our own in-house use of just people going to play at the park. The accessibility conversation from earlier rings true. It's not like we can't have maybe another option out there, but I'd also maybe be interested to see what the Parks Board, or once we give our feedback, if they had any additional comments.
Ms. Rodriguez, you're 9-ish?
Conceptually speaking, yes, but I think that the maintenance thing is my big one. What does maintenance currently look like for the 5 fields we do have?
A lot.
And so the reason being is yes, I understand that the National Parks Association has identified a certain number, a certain figure that is desired. But the figure doesn't necessarily account for what our city staffing issue looks like. And so, I would hate to, plan ahead in terms of infrastructure, but not plan ahead in terms of maintaining that infrastructure. I also
What if we lay out for the 5 and the 4, but we only build the 4 or the 5 now, and we leave that space reserved for 5 or 10 years down the road?
It would absolutely have to be a phased approach.
Yeah, because
That
we
was
can't
gonna be
afford
my
to do
question.
There you
it.
go.
Due to the cost, to your point, whenever, this project was to be constructed, council would need to consider the future budget implications that we will have to have a whole crew of
Oh, yeah.
personnel out there just for this area. That's
Yeah.
probably 5 or 6 people to allow for people to call in sick or take vacations. Right now, I have a team of 5 for Gary Softball Complex, Raymond Lucio Baseball Fields, and all 10 soccer fields.
Right.
Those 5 guys handle all of that. We do have Raymond Lucio on reclaim water now, but the rest of the fields are still on potable.
Okay.
And I was
I'm
gonna-
looking at our time, and I'm going to try
I'm
to
sorry.
move us along a little faster on this. But I do think that, for me, they wouldn't all 9 have to be built at the same time.
This
but what I'm-
whole facility will have to be
Right.
phased.
But what I'm also looking at is with the 9, do we make money on tournaments?
Some,
Okay. So if we've got the 9 out there, we can move eventually the tournaments out there and have this parking at the current fields that we need for Rio Vista Park.
correct.
And we're not doing tournaments on those holiday weekends now, which I understand that cut out some revenue over there.
Yes.
It's your place.
That's
So
correct.
I'm looking at a bigger picture
Right.
here.
I like that.
Okay, folks, again, it's 5:17, so what else do y'all need? Feel like you want to weigh in on?
I would just be interested in that our current field situation is still considered and considerably updated. I think it's just, it is the gym as far as parks go, and if we could help them look good, play good, park good, that's what I.
That's maintenance, and that's not part of this, though. So I'm trying to move this conversation along. Are you looking at, what kind of improvements are you talking about?
Well, currently there's slope towards the road. There isn't enough parking. People park on the grass, so just a more formidable setup, and that takes money, so I wanted that to be part of the conversation.
Parking was going to be something that I was going to ask about.
Yeah, and some of the way they store stuff out there in the open, it might be a better way to set that up.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yeah, just harping down on, they don't have to be full-size soccer fields, but I'm really looking for soccer fields to be put in, even if it's mini games, pickup games, something there. In addition, would really love to see, I know we're talking about adding pavilions or maybe upgrading pavilions we already have. Be interested to see if we can fit some of those tables to account for chess and checkers. Or even have like one of those life-size chess things. That'd be
Mahjong.
cool.
I'm a big mahjong girl.
Yeah, like something that can bring people to play things like that. Because when we talk about tournaments, chess also
Talking about
brings in
east side or the current?
well, preferably the
Maybe
Riverside, but both would be great.
Yeah.
And then in addition, I saw this as a reoccurring. I know Mayor and I went to I think it was the first open house y'all hosted, but I did see this continue to be brought up, and that is community theaters. We have had people ask us to utilize city space because there are not community theaters, and if this is a way in which we can achieve some sort of ability to have an outdoor theater, a cheaper amphitheater, something like that. I know there are things in here that get into outdoor classrooms and those things. I don't know if those are interchangeable terms, but I know that was mentioned to me quite a bit as a desired project.
Sure. We did key that question up to the community specifically for the riverfront parks.
Yes.
And it did not, people did not want that at Rio Vista because we already have it at Plaza Park. We have the stage there.
Okay, and sorry, Mayor, no time. Is that public though?
Yes,
Like
ma'am.
people, like, because
Yeah,
I know the
it's-
Broke
it's in
Fest
the
games.
feedback. It's in the feedback.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe for East Side Park, we can look at some things and then.
East Side Park would be a great place.
Yeah,
We
because
just
y'all
have
have
to move some
outdoor
things.
classroom on that, so if it's meeting the same intent, then that's fine. But yeah,
Probably-
the soccer and chess and those things are big interests.
But maybe East Side Park, and then also depending on what happens with the future City Hall conversation, where
That's why we
things
didn't
go
include it.
with that, that area.
Right.
Are
Mayor-
y'all good with these other, we talked about this at Church Board for maybe downtown also, was where you've got, a stone area and you've got the checkers chessboard in there that people can just bring their own pieces and play.
That's what they would have to do. People will steal our stuff.
No, we're just talking about having the board there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all. You gotta bring your own,
Yeah, they'll have to do that.
own chess pieces.
Yeah.
So I'm already hesitating to say this as it's coming out of my mouth because of the time issue. But I think one thing that, and I'm pretty sure y'all are considering, but with all the added parking at both locations, the paid parking question, I know that the parking board is reviewing paid parking citywide, downtown,
Not here.
whatever.
We haven't discussed
Well,
that.
because technically all of this is still conceptual, right? But in theory, so I guess,
Let's just put that in the parking lot, but I'm glad somebody brought it up.
yeah.
I think in the interest of time, what we could probably do is, because we're gonna be bringing this back to another work session, and so that can be something that we can talk about, and if there's direction that you wanna provide, maybe to the Parking Advisory Board to look at that, or something, or the Parks Board, however y'all wanna do it, or get them
Yeah.
together, we've had that
Well,
conversation
it's only
too.
gonna work if you're controlling the parking and there's a gate.
If it's
half the people are
possible.
parking on the street, it's
People
not.
said no to paid parking in the
Right.
surveys.
What we can do is, because this is part of a PDR, we can include that within the report to say, should should the council want to implement paid parking, here's the number of spaces, here's the potential revenue. That is so far down the line operationally. We are
And I'm not-
years away from
And I'm not
that.
necessarily recommending it. I think it's a question to be asked and answered.
Yes,
And the
I do
answer may
agree
be
with
no.
Correct.
Right, yeah, and I'm the same way. I would rather we get the answer now than to come up with the idea later and try to retrofit paid parking. If we decide that we are gonna do paid parking, then we build the parking lots with the gates and the access control and whatever it is from the get-go, rather than trying to retrofit that later.
Okay, so we've got one more thing from Ms. Rodriguez, and then I'm going to try to wrap this up a little bit.
It'll be so quick. Just one of the things we've talked about in the past in terms of riverfront is what the heat does to people's bodies, what that means for our emergency personnel. In terms of the trails and those, was there any discussion of shade and what that looks like in these areas? I know we have shade around like the children's parks and those things.
Yep. So we have, as a department, our urban forester has been hyper-focused on plantings over the last 5 years. I mean, just at City Park last year, we planted, I don't know, well over 50 trees there, for example. She's planted, I don't even, well over 100 trees in the riverfront parks and probably closer to 500 in a short amount of time through grants and everything else. Is there actual shade structures? All of these little structures here, those are all pavilions. All right there. But as far as like along here, I mean, we're just focusing on tree plantings.
Okay.
Okay.
That's where we've been hyper-focused, not so much
Okay.
adding like actual
Good to hear.
structures.
All right, so we are in agreement of keeping the ball fields at Ramon Lucio. We want to highly look at the 9 fields at the East Side Park. But what we really need is we need a list, now that
Yes,
we've
ma'am.
kind of said which plans, what is being added, what's being taken away.
Yes, ma'am.
And something that I can match back to the map, but I just need a separate list that I can
Yes,
check
ma'am.
off and see.
And that, we definitely, so it's looking at option E, the 5 baseball fields, option B, the 9 baseball fields, looking at maybe some black fence, parking, update fields, you know, maybe down the long term, look at a phased approach, concerned about maintenance, obviously, highlight changes from what's there today and what's being proposed, look at some soccer fields, look at some chess and checkers kind of spaces, community theater, amphitheater, maybe at East Side Park, and then some shade structures. So those were the things that I heard from y'all.
I'd double on the shade. I'd triple on the shade.
Yeah.
You can't have enough shade or trees.
So
Okay.
we can work with that and then bring that back at the next work session with the information and then get further direction from there.
That would be helpful. All right. Ms. Case, thank you. There's a lot of detail here, thanks to the folks who have worked on this. And we will be moving on to our next item, Ms. Trevino, which I think is executive session.
Yes, ma'am. The city council will convene an executive session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Government Code: A, Section 551.074, Personal Matters, to deliberate regarding the appointment of a new presiding judge for the San Marcos Municipal Court. B, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice regarding the petition for declaratory judgment and application for temporary restraining order, temporary injunction, and permanent injunction filed by Hays County Emergency Services District Number 9 against San Marcos, Hays County Emergency Medical Services, Inc., in cause number 26-2025-DCE 453rd Judicial District, Hays County, regarding the distribution of assets of the corporation. C, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney to receive legal advice regarding an officer-involved shooting on June 26, 2026.
I've got a motion from
Second.
Mr. Scott, second from Ms. Rodriguez to go into executive session. Are you going to call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Basel?
Aye.
Ms. Garza?
She's not on.
Okay. Mayor Houston?
Aye.
Mr. Scott?
Aye.
Mr. Mendoza? Mr. Gonzalez?
Aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0 with 2 absent.
So we're
Oh,
going
thank you.
into, oh, good. We're going into executive session at 5:27. Folks, go in there, get your Okay, we have returned from our executive session, which we concluded at 6:07. And, Mr. Trevino, I don't believe anyone signed up for Q&A? Okay, there being no further items on our agenda, we will adjourn at 6:08 for the 3 o'clock session. Give us a couple of minutes. Control room needs a couple of minutes to get fired up for the 6 o'clock, and be right back.